The thought had been a whisper, then a hum, then a persistent buzz. A friend, casually, had mentioned digital footprints. I'd nodded, pretended I knew what she meant beyond the obvious. But the seed was planted. What asterisk was asterisk out there? My name. Arthur Finch. Not unique, but not John Smith either. I typed Google Alerts into the search bar. The process was simple. My name. Email frequency. Once a day. Sources. Automatic. Create alert. A click. A moment of anticlimax. Then, the waiting. The first email arrived the next morning. Subject. Google Alert, Arthur Finch. My heart gave a little jump. I opened it. The first result was a LinkedIn profile. Not mine. An Arthur Finch, Senior Marketing Manager, based in Seattle. I'm in accounting, in Boston. Different photo, different career. I scrolled. The second result was a local newspaper article from 2012. Arthur Finch, age 16, scores winning goal for Northwood High Soccer. I never played soccer. I went to Southwood High. Another Arthur Finch. The third was a forum post from a birdwatching community. Arthur Finch, new member, seeking advice on identifying warblers. I've never identified a warbler in my life. I don't even own binoculars. I closed the email. A slight disappointment. This was just noise. I almost deleted the alert. But the buzz was still there. I let it ride. Day 2. Another email. Result 1. A university alumni newsletter, mentioning an Arthur Finch who had recently endowed a scholarship. Not me. My university was a state school, and my endowments were limited to my monthly student loan payments. Result 2. A review of a new restaurant in London. Arthur Finch, food critic, praises innovative menu. I've never been to London. I eat frozen pizza most nights. Result 3. A genealogy website, listing an Arthur Finch born in 1888 in rural Georgia. A distant relative, perhaps? I clicked. It was a dead end, just a name on a list. This was getting tedious. I considered turning it off. But then, something shifted. Day 5. The alert arrived. Result 1. The usual LinkedIn profile, another Arthur Finch, this time a software engineer in California. Result 2. A local news blog. Witness describes unusual incident at City Park. My City Park. I clicked. The article described a man named Arthur Finch who had seen a flock of pigeons suddenly drop from the sky, then recover. The description of the witness was vague, but the location was precise. I had been at that park, that day. I had seen something similar. I hadn't spoken to anyone. A chill ran down my spine. Had someone else reported me? Or was it another Arthur Finch, also at the park, also seeing the same thing? The odds felt too slim. I reread the description. Mid-30s, wearing a blue jacket, carrying a worn leather satchel. I owned a blue jacket. I owned a worn leather satchel. I had been wearing them. This was me. Someone had seen me. Someone had reported me. My presence, unasked, had been documented. The next alert was even stranger. A forum post from 2008. Arthur Finch, seeking advice on vintage arcade cabinet repair. The username was Arcade Finch. I clicked. The email address linked to the account was an old Hotmail address I hadn't used in years. I remembered. My brief, intense obsession with restoring an old Pac-Man machine in college. I had never posted about it online. Or so I thought. I read my own naive questions, my desperate pleas for help with wiring diagrams. It was embarrassing, a digital ghost of a forgotten hobby. But it was asterisk me star. The alerts continued, a strange tapestry. An alert about a small, independent film festival in Estonia, listing an Arthur Finch as a sound designer. I watched a trailer. The film looked surprisingly good. I wondered if this other Arthur Finch was living my alternate life, the one where I pursued creative passions instead of spreadsheets. Then, an alert about a forgotten blog post from a university project. The socio-economic impact of artisanal cheese in post-industrial societies. My name was listed as the primary author. I had completely forgotten about that project. It was still out there, a testament to a very specific, niche opinion I once held. I read it. It was surprisingly well-researched. And slightly pretentious. A few days later, an alert about a crowdfunding campaign. Save the historic Finch House. In a town I'd never heard of, 3 states away. I clicked, saw pictures of a beautiful old Victorian. I felt a strange, ancestral pull, even though I knew my family had no connection to that specific house. It was just the name. A shared label, creating an imagined connection. Then came the professional jolt. An alert. Arthur Finch, recipient of Employee of the Month award at Sterling Financial. Sterling Financial was a direct competitor of my company. My heart sank. Had I been poached? Had I forgotten? Then I saw the photo. Not me. A different Arthur Finch, smiling broadly, holding a plaque. Relief, then a pang of professional jealousy, then concern about potential confusion. What if someone at my company saw this? Another alert. A very old, blurry photo from a local newspaper archive. Caption: Arthur Finch, age 7, wins pie eating contest at annual county fair. I remembered that day vividly. The sticky sweetness, the cheers, the stomach ache. I was 7. I did win a pie eating contest. I'd thought that memory was purely my own, a private childhood triumph. It was out there, documented, a grainy black and white image of my younger self, mouth smeared with blueberry. The alerts became a daily ritual. A mix of the mundane, the bizarre, the slightly unsettling, and the occasionally personal. An alert about a legal filing. Finch versus Finch. I panicked. I clicked. It was a property dispute between 2 people with the surname Finch, completely unrelated to me. The initial fear was visceral, a cold knot in my stomach. I started to see my name not just as my identity, but as a label shared by many, a thread in a vast digital tapestry. I learned to filter, to discern what was truly relevant. Most of it wasn't. But some of it was. One morning, an alert popped up. A local community newsletter from a town an hour away. Local resident, Eleanor Finch, celebrates 90th birthday. Eleanor Finch. My great-aunt. I hadn't seen her in years, hadn't even known she was still in that town. I clicked. There was a small photo of her, smiling, surrounded by family I vaguely recognized. I picked up the phone. I called her. We talked for an hour. A small, positive connection, forged by a random Google alert. The alerts continued. An Arthur Finch in Australia had published a book on quantum physics. An Arthur Finch in Canada had run a marathon for charity. An Arthur Finch in my own city had written a scathing letter to the editor about potholes. I realized the alerts weren't just about me in a narrow sense, but about the broader ecosystem of information. My online presence was a mosaic, some pieces I placed, some placed by others, some accidental. It was sprawling, sometimes random, often irrelevant, but occasionally, profoundly personal. The initial unease had faded. I wasn't paranoid, but informed. I accepted the sprawling, sometimes random nature of my digital footprint. I kept the alerts on, not out of fear, but out of a quiet, informed curiosity. I understood the value of knowing what was out there, even if it was just another Arthur Finch discovering a rare bird or winning a pie-eating contest. I was no longer a passive participant. I was an observer of my own digital echo and the echoes of all the other Arthur Finches out there. The arguments were closed. I knew.